Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little bit different. I kind of want to give you an update on what's going on in general at Area 13, plans we have in the works for 2023, what's been going on with my own personal health because I haven't really addressed that since really last year. A few months ago, I made a video where I rode a bike for a bike review. I did about 25 miles. I am worn out trying to wear the battery down. And I have to say, unfortunately, that I actually can't do that today. I'll go into a little bit more detail at the end of the video. Let's jump into the bike stuff. First off, bike reviews. We definitely have a lot of bike reviews lined up. More and more companies are reaching out to us, and in some case, we're reaching out to get our hands on bikes that we want to take a first-hand look at. I have the Biketrix XD, which has a very unique drivetrain. I really wanted to see how that works, so we've got our hands on one. There are some new e-bike companies that are trying to get their products out for this spring that we are going to review, and there's some existing brands like Aventon. We've got one of their new Adventure bikes. It's the Adventure 2.0. It's kind of similar to the previous bike, but they've added a torque sensor, so that's pretty cool. You don't see too many $2,000 or sub-$2,000 bikes that have a torque sensor installed. I'm looking forward to seeing how that actually performs. And getting away from the regular bicycle reviews, I always just have loved to build things.
Here's how you take a block of aluminum and turn it into a custom brake adapter.
First, design the part in CAD and cut away anything that's not a brake adapter. Give it a final coat of paint. And here is my very own custom brake adapters that look like they came from a factory.
Now, some of the things I like to build or work on don't quite fit into the standard electric bike category. And that's one of the reasons I am working on a second channel, which is called Area 13 Mischief. Some of you might already be subscribed, but if you're looking for more e-bike content that's a little out of the norm, you can go check that out. One of those examples is the Velomobile build that I've been working on.
I've got a couple of TerraCycle idlers. I'm going to use one of these and a mount that I 3D printed and put it on. Really happy with how that came out. It is rock solid, spins freely. I think that's going to work perfectly. The pedaling portion of the drivetrain is now alive.
Now, this kind of goes back to the health as well. I wanted to do this project for a long time. It's kind of been sitting in the back of the shop, collecting dust, but I'm really motivated now to get it done because I do have some ongoing balance issues, and I feel like something that's on 3 wheels would be great for that. At the same time, I also don't have a lot of energy or stamina yet, so it needs a really big battery.
Here's how over 4 kilowatt hours of battery power is going to go on a single e-bike in a very strange but useful way.
I have most of the parts and components. I'm kind of going through one by one, just posting little short updates on what's getting done next, but it is going to be a pretty insane build once it's all done. The battery capacity should conservatively, and I mean very conservatively, do over 200 miles without pedaling. And power-wise, I also needed lots and lots of power. I needed enough power to get up hills without me assisting at all if needed, because it's really just dependent on the day how much I can or can't do. So in the unlocked mode, it has 2 front hub motors that are 2,000 watts each for a total power of 4,000 watts. The top speed is going to be insane. Of course, all that can be limited with the flip of a switch to a nice legal 750 watt limit. I spent a lot of time really thinking about the drivetrain for this as well. Let's say there is some sort of electrical problem and I have to pedal it up a hill. Can I do it? And then at the same time, if I am doing some sort of a crazy speed test in the future, I certainly hope I can, what if I want to pedal going 50 miles an hour? Well, I've actually put together a drive system that can do just that. I've got a slump drive up in the front.
If you spin the cranks, that front sprocket goes around like normal, 1-to-1 ratio. But if you pop this button in right here, which while riding you would do with your heel, now for every 1 revolution of the crank, the teeth are actually spinning around 2.5 times.
That's basically a 2-speed gearbox that fits in the bottom bracket. And then in the back, I have an 11-speed hub from Shimano. It's the Shimano Alpine. And between the two, this thing has an insanely wide ratio that would be completely impractical on any other kind of bicycle. But for this application, I think it's going to work quite well. And it gives me 22 usable speeds. I can use every single one of those. And the great thing is, I can switch between them at almost any time. I can be stopped and shift from 1st to 11th in the back, or I can switch the high-low range on the slump drive. If I'm stopped, I don't even have to be pedaling. I think that's going to work out really good, and I'm excited to pedal it for the first time, hopefully very, very soon. So again, if you want to check out what's been done on that already or see what happens moving forward, that is on the Area 13 Mischief channel. Not something you can buy, but for me, it's a lot of fun. But what about things you can buy? A lot of people are asking, of course, about the Blackbird step-through. Where is it? Why haven't they arrived yet? And I know they are very, very late. And I apologize if you're one of the people that has pre-ordered one of those and you're waiting patiently. I really, really do appreciate your patience as we get this figured out. The short version is we do have a tentative shipping date from overseas next month. So if all goes according to plan, they will be on the way, on the water, so to speak, in a few to several weeks. I will update everybody when they are actually in a container, on the water, on the way here. And one of the new features that's going to be on the Blackbird step-through is the new SRAM Level T brakes. Now, that braking system is not necessarily new. SRAM has been around for a long time. The Level T has been around for a few years, but it is a really good, high-quality braking system that I like. We actually started the process of getting these brakes for the Blackbird bikes at the end of 2020. So it has been a long time coming, but I'm glad to say that the brakes are now ready. They're going to go on new Blackbirds that are being produced, and we have lots and lots of extra brakes that we can sell. Now, SRAM doesn't make an e-bike version of these hydraulic braking systems, so they don't have a cutoff switch built in, but we have made one. So if you want to upgrade e-bike brakes, you now have another option. The SRAM Level T are going to be amazing on just about any electric bike. I highly recommend it if you're looking for an upgrade, especially if you're still running some mechanical calipers of some sort and you want a full hydraulic system that is a name brand braking system that is known to be reliable and work really well. And the next big thing that's still in the works, I teased it a little bit over the end of 2022. We've mentioned it some emails, sent out a few photos here and there, which is the new retail location. And I'm happy to say that that is moving forward. We are going to move to the new downtown Grass Valley location. It's in a major shopping center. It's a nice big space that's really going to lend itself a lot better to local foot traffic. So I'm really excited about that. And I think as soon as we start actually moving things in there, then I will definitely take some pictures, take some video, and kind of show you guys the process of going from this empty slate to a new Area 13 retail shop. I'm very excited about that. Right now, the building still has some renovations that are being completed, so it's ready for us to move into in the spring. One thing I have not kept up on is the Area 13 podcast. If you've looked at that, you may have noticed that the last episode came out in December of 2022. So we're a couple of months behind. I was hoping that that would be already up and moving for basically the 2023 season, and we are this close. We're making some changes to it. Mainly, the podcast was always an audio-only format, which is great. That's how podcasts were designed to be. But we're going to change that up, and it is going to be a video and audio podcast. So if you want to watch the podcast episodes, you can do that. They'll be available on YouTube, and Spotify is also doing video podcasts now. So we're getting all the background stuff set up, so that's going to work. But it's still going to be on all of your standard listening podcast platforms. So if you're worried about, oh, well, I don't want to watch it, I still want to just listen to the audio, not a problem. You can still do that, but we're going to have both options moving forward. Hopefully that's something you see before the end of February, but at the very least, springtime for sure, we're going to have those new episodes rolling out. And speaking of new things, we're also going to be launching a brand new Area 13 e-bikes website in the very, very near future. I'm excited about that as well because it's going to give us a nice, new, sleek look. It's going to help fix some of the issues with finding products or maybe finding what is the right product for you. So don't be surprised when you go to area13ebikes.com in a couple of weeks from now and it looks entirely different. It's still us. We're just trying to serve you better. Some of these things are just taking a little bit longer than expected, primarily because my recovery is taking a lot longer than expected. Many of you know I put a video out about this last year. I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's been a year since I started having issues first with my balance, and then basically everything spread to my entire body being weak and not functioning the way it should. It makes walking very difficult. It makes speaking, to be honest, extremely difficult. Every little thing I do, I have to be very methodical and careful about so I don't run out of stamina or I don't increase the pain on joints or muscles or headaches. It's really just kind of a big complicated thing that's going on that not a lot of people really understand. In fact, even the diagnosis itself is questionable depending on which doctor I see. And most said that I would recover in about a year. That's what they expected. I got to be honest with you guys, it has been a year since the symptoms started, and I am not really any better than I was in the spring of last year. The improvement or the progress has been more or less flat. So this definitely has been, I would say, probably the hardest year of my life because going from a very physical, active person and doing so many things to being, depending on the day, wheelchair bound or walking with a cane or with a walker and not really knowing what the next day is going to be like is definitely a struggle. It's definitely a life-changing experience. But I'm feeling very positive about the future. I'm not going to go into the details yet, but I feel like just in the last few days, I'm learning a lot of new things that could potentially turn this around for me. Not the greatest situation to be in at the moment, and it is making all of these different projects very hard to complete on the timeline I originally had, but everything is still moving forward, and I am hopeful that my recovery is going to move forward with it. Now, as I mentioned, I did ride a bike a few months ago for a review about 25 miles, and I wasn't sure when I was filming that if I could even do it. But I pushed myself, and I wanted to do it, so I did. What you guys didn't see is the aftermath of that, which is realistically that set me back, and I couldn't ride a bike after that video. I struggled to walk after that video for more than a month. So the one ride of 25 miles, as much fun as it was, definitely wasn't worth the after effects of it. So I'm being much more careful about how much I push myself. So if you don't see me being the one actually riding bikes in the videos this spring, don't be surprised. If you do, that means that I am actually having some really good success with my recovery and new things that I'm trying. And I definitely hope that that is the case. So that's a wrap. That's me being real with you guys. We've got a lot of great bikes in stock. Thanks again to my wife, Jenny, who, if you guys have called in, if you've emailed in, there's a good chance you've talked to her because she is doing so much around the shop. And finally, I want to know, what are you guys looking forward in the world of electric bikes for 2023? Are there any new technologies you're excited about? Are you excited about the fact that bike prices have finally come down? I will see you in some more videos very, very soon.